Welcome back. Welcome in. It's Country Roads Confidential at earsports.com. This is a Paramount podcast. Chris, Paramount just taking over the world. I don't even know how to do this intro anymore.
Are we a Netflix podcast? Are we going to have to start making Netflix video now?
No, Warner
Or
Brothers Discovery.
oh, that's right.
I got a vote on the merger soon, by the way. It's
Oh
legitimately,
yeah,
I think I have a packet somewhere around here with all the information about this because I am a stockholder as an employee of Paramount. Did you know this?
I did not know this. I
Yeah, these are the
actually maybe
perks.
I did, but
Yeah. So maybe they'll let you in the Christmas party this year.
no, it's all right. I was thinking maybe they just go ahead and buy Netflix too, just buy it all.
It's early.
Do you think?
Maybe. It's imminent. Anyhow, we're back to talk about West Virginia sports. A lot happening, and I don't know where it's going. Baseball early, basketball late, football kind of not even early. It's like pre-early, but everything has people a little bit alarmed, a little bit excited, a little bit curious, and that's why we're going to spend some time today on all three sports. I don't know where to begin on this one, Chris. So I think you've got a good question sewn into what we're going to talk about today, but that's basketball. Maybe maybe basketball is more lively than I thought. And then maybe this isn't a baseball school. I don't know, but then maybe you're overreacting about just winning two out of three on the road in the third series of the season. Still think baseball's pretty good, but not without questions here. And then football Tuesday, news conference. Spring football starts on Saturday. Figure sometime soon we'll figure out officially exactly when the schedule is going to have the players in the field and the media maybe in attendance. We could do more there, but a lot to talk about on Tuesday with the head coach, all the new parts
Hmm.
there, and what he does not know, maybe what he expects to find out. This should be a pretty fun week.
Yeah, as I said, if you're looking for football talk, probably not today, because again, it we'll talk about it, and then maybe it all changes in less than 24 hours when that Rich Rodriguez press conference happens. So look for that later in the week for sure. Is there anything you wanted to touch on for football do you want to jump ahead of the Rich Rodriguez press conference and share
I mean,
anything on football?
I think we kind of know how Tuesday is going to be, and that's not like sarcastic, jaded talk, but what can he really say? Like
Yeah.
these guys are strong. Okay, this guy has had a good like winter in the classroom. Okay, fine, but I think some questions about maybe what they do differently this year because last year was so unique with that roster flipped over the way it was with so many new parts, and he mentioned this too. Starting the season slow in 24 was supposed to make him better at that in 25. He kind of hamstrung the quarterback situation last year, but I think with having everybody under the umbrella the entire spring and summer, knowing that too, right? Because you can't transfer
Hmm.
after you can, but you're not going to get any luck out of it. You might get your coach suspended too. What do you do differently? How do you behave differently? And just maybe how does that portal dynamic change your plans? Because you don't have to worry about trying to keep people on campus or trying to ward off the outside to steal some of your promising players, your extra parts. What do you do differently now too? So I think he can talk about that a little bit, but he still may be building that plane in the air too, because it's once again it's new, it's different.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of, well, we'll see next week when practice starts. Not, don't know how much you could share new from what last time. When did we talk to him last? He didn't do a signing day because West Virginia really didn't sign anybody. To February signing day.
Mhm.
So was the last time we talked to him signing day in December?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Do you
not
think
shocking, that shocking,
what
but still.
what's the stopwatch say for the first question about a player that
What?
just can't be answered?
That was, oh, it's going to might be the second question. It'll be the first question. Our guys bigger and stronger. How's the weight program going? Uh, Maybe Rick Trickett question jumps ahead of player
That'll be early.
questions to
Mm,
start, and then maybe new edge rushing coach as well. So maybe a couple of coach questions before we get to the player questions. I say over under question 3.5 is
mm.
when we get super specific about a player that can't be answered yet.
3.5. Okay.
3.5 questions. So yeah, strength and conditioning, and then a couple coach questions. I think might come first. We'll see.
Would you disqualify? Would you apply this to a quarterback question? Because I think that's always going to be early. But if someone says, "Hey, Michael Hawkins versus Scotty Fox," does that count as a player question?
Yeah. So maybe that does
Okay,
jump ahead.
might be early. And then that'll be like, well, don't forget, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, which
Yeah.
sounds silly. And again, I'm not being sarcastic or jaded, but golly, they needed every quarterback last year. So you might want to know who the true freshmen are and who Max Brown is still around. I might
Well,
get a Max Brown
remember
question
last
again.
year when he infamously said that he could win with felt they could win with five quarterbacks during media days. Over under how many quarterbacks West Virginia can win with in the press conferences this year, Mike?
Come fall, oh, probably four again, yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, don't I wouldn't give him a whole bunch of grief about that. He
No.
only used four last year. He didn't use five.
Yeah,
So if he had used five, he might have gotten to 7 wins.
it's true.
He wasn't lying.
Um, all right, let's go baseball. Let's get the negative out of the way first. We got to talk about baseball.
Sounds so
Sort of
weird to say
negative.
let's get the negative out of the way and talk about baseball. That's
I
not
know.
what happened here the last two
I'm
years,
just
right?
trying to needle some of our baseball fans on the board right now, but um, two blowout victories Friday, Saturday. Sunday starts out, was it 5-0?
Six.
6-0. And I think I put this in my recap that went up this morning. Had you asked me at that point, I think it was after the fifth inning, whatever it was, 6-0. It probably, and it felt like if you were watching it, for those that were watching live, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It felt like it could have been 10 or 12-0. Like they had guys on base, they had multiple opportunities to tack onto that. Um, it and you said, "Hey, how's this going to?" I would have guessed 24-0 before I guessed 7-6 loss. Like absolutely would have said 24-0 before I said they lost 7-6. Um, we'll work our way up to maybe the biggest concern about that loss. A slightly less concern. Um, fielding
Mhm.
like was pretty solid for most of the weekend until those last few innings. Two errors proved to be very costly. I think it was three unearned runs from that. Any concern with that? Because again, there was some discussion on our board. We're pulling from some of the talk that the fans are having here about, hey, is it a good idea to have all of these guys moving to four different spots on the field and all this fluidity between, I think there's a fine line between versatility and guys not getting the proper amount of reps for their single position. Is that looking too far? Is that looking too negative right now, or is that a viable question right now?
I think if you're doing this against Big 12 teams, that's a concern, but you're doing this now because you can. And
Yeah.
and I think that you can look at this a certain way, Chris, and say, like, this is when you do that, but it's not supposed to be what happens. Like if you're up 6-0 in the sixth inning on a Sunday, um, you play some guys.
Yeah.
So it just kind of went sideways on them for, again, we can get into some of the reasons there. Like your defensive replacements should not be bucknering balls, and that happened. So that's a bummer. But their regulars on defense haven't made errors. Like coming into this weekend, they had four errors. Two were on pitchers throwing the ball at first, and two were on guys who don't play. And one of those guys made another error, Ben Lumsden, on Sunday that turned out to be pretty important too. So, and again, that's not a regular player, although he did start on that game. But so their typical 1 through 9 has been fairly good in the field. And I think you'd be like, wow, Tyrus Hall can really play third base. You can feel pretty good about some of that stuff there too. So mm, probably the product of their success right now is you scrutinize a lot of things. Like,
Hmm.
how can they be so good for 2 games, 2.5 games, and how can it get away? And sometimes the answer is just baseball.
Yeah.
Like, how can David Perez be so good? And then he comes in. He hadn't pitched in a while. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But he comes in and again, he gets kind of betrayed by the defense error. And then all of a sudden, the next one goes out the park. And, how does a freshman react to that? Well, he had a pretty good inning after that, too. So you see some things you like and don't like, and then you probably spend more time on the don't like in the locker room and on the ride home. But they play tomorrow, they play Wednesday, and they got a weekend series coming up too against that Columbia team, Chris, which by the
Hmm.
way had an impressive win over the weekend too. So I think it's something that you always look at and say, boy, their defense, because it wasn't great last year. But it's been so far so good this year, and more important to me, their regulars have played pretty good defense, and guys who aren't in the game for one reason or another have kind of shown you why that might be because they haven't been perfect in the field in their opportunities.
All right.
I'll say this too. If Kennesaw State suddenly has a great recruiting class or transfer portal class, circle this game. not because it means so much to beat West Virginia, although the celebration after the game was very much Game 7-esque. Chris, when it was 6-0 in the sixth inning, and you said it was on the way to 24-0,
Yeah.
West Virginia had minus 50,000 odds to win the game.
Oh yeah.
Kennesaw State had plus 2,200. If somebody puts some bands on Kennesaw State, they're funding that program, that NIL for the next couple of years because they come back and win that game despite long odds there too. And then
Yeah.
it's not a bad team. It's not. It's supposed to be third place. It was third place in the preseason poll in Conference USA. It's played okay this year. Um, I know it's not West Virginia, which
Yeah.
it feels like a weird thing to say sometimes too, but like they just got the better of WV one day, and that's what, two Sundays in a row where the other team celebrated like they actually really achieved something on Sunday, even though they lost the series. So you take that and you say, you know what? We probably should have won this game. However, we're still pretty good, and the other team knows it.
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing that we need to discuss is the bullpen. Because there were a couple guys that after Saturday's game, and I think this was discussed, I know I discussed it with a couple people on our board on after Saturday's game of, hey, West Virginia is a great spot because like Kennesaw State is just burning through pitchers. Like I think there was like one inning where they went through three pitchers, maybe four. And meanwhile, West Virginia should have just this cavalcade of arms resting and waiting for Sunday whenever you need them. A couple of them came in, a couple of them didn't. You touched on it in your three things before the game.
Mm,
Um, is that concerning? I mean, and the guys are specifically McDougal and Meyer because in Meyer, I mean, that's a guy that was what tagged as like the best MLB draft prospect on this team, I believe preseason,
yeah,
something like that.
sure.
Whew.
That's a
Not
good point.
available? Around? Not
You,
around?
I mean, not pitching. This is so McDougal's thrown one third of an inning all season. He appeared in the second game of the year, didn't have it, and got pulled, and he could not get the ball by guys. He went to two strikes on a couple of batters and ended up in 10 and 12 pitch at bats to both of them. So much so, Chris, that he got to a two-strike count against another batter, and he got pulled during the at bat because he could not get the third strike. I don't know. Does that mean much to you in the second game of the season? It's not encouraging, but it's not like a bubble burst. You haven't seen him since. And then, yeah, Meyer has the broken finger around Thanksgiving, I believe is the timeline. He's off to the side for a while. And then just think about pitch grips. You need your fingers. The funny thing about fingers and toes, too, they're these little digits that come kind of make you feel like dumb animals, even though you're like these big, strong athletes. If something's wrong with your toes, man, your ankle, your calf, your knee can go because you're compensating. Same thing with your fingers. Like if you're trying to grip a ball or throw something and you're compensating for your finger, you might be overthrowing, you might be over rotating. You can just do a whole bunch of strange things that are counterproductive to your rehab and recovery because your finger isn't right. And all of a sudden, it could be your forearm, it could be your elbow, it could be your shoulder. Full disclosure here, Chris, I started pre-writing my three things because I was out yesterday. So I tried to get my three things done. So I wasn't writing it Sunday. And I was just like, let's keep an eye on the baseball game on Sunday because I wonder what the plan is for Meyer and McDougal. They could be Sunday guys, sure, but they still had a bunch of arms that were available. Didn't see either one of them. So I wrote that and then just, I don't know, Chris, like Pied Piper stuff. Someone comes out of the woodwork and says, hey, have you heard? And I think there's concern about McDougal and where he's going to be near term, long term. I think there's a plan to maybe get Meyer back on track that maybe doesn't have him coming in and throwing bullpen appearances. Maybe he's a starter and they got to get him to that point again. Better now than later. I don't know what the long term is for either one of them. McDougal doesn't sound great. We'll see. Meyer sounds like it's still part of the return to role plan for him. Just you'd like to see that. And more importantly, now you don't know if McDougal, you don't know what you don't know yet about Meyer. JJ Glasscock is gone. His dad disclosed likely a season-ending injury, which sounds pretty scary, but they caught it right away. Um, you're just looking at some other arms that like Max Stifler. He's a sophomore, but he's got tools and size and like profiles as that guy who can get you out. You haven't seen that. So now you're thinking, all right, you got to bring some freshmen forward. You got to bring some people who haven't pitched a lot effectively under pressure, whatever. You got to get them out there, and they've had good moments and they've had not as good moments. Didn't really profile yesterday except that Perez, but Perez comes in and gets a strikeout to get out of an inning, and then a guy reaches on air and he gives up a home run, then he retires aside. So I don't think that your freshman is lost there either. point is that you don't want this coming down to three arms again, which is kind of like the fear. Like, if you've watched West Virginia baseball before or a lot of college baseball, you're just short in the arms sometimes, especially at the end of the season. And you can't have your Friday starter coming in to close a postseason game on Sunday. You'd like to avoid that if you can. That's unique stuff, even though it's happened twice, right?
Mhm.
So can you find those guys? You're 10 games into this, but if you're starting to take on some water in a place that we thought could be a strength, hmm, you're concerned a little bit. So you got to kind of reset the plan a little bit. Maybe it wasn't a great day for Bryson Thacker, but they kind of thought this was like a fireman who can come in and throw strikes, get out of jams. He just didn't have it in one appearance so far. I don't think that ruins that experiment. It just kind of makes you sit back and see, you know what? Let's reassess everything, everybody. Let's make sure that if this plan is going to be a little bit different without one guy for a long time or without two guys right now, maybe three guys right now, um, let's readjust and let's figure out where we go. And like, so if you look at David Hagan pitching in relief the other day, he started on Tuesday. Now, maybe that's just getting in work, but maybe that's a guy that, you know what? He could be an end of the bullpen guy. He's reliable. He can get us outs. He could go the seventh, eighth, and ninth innings. He could get us out of a 2 on, 2 out in the fifth and get it to a reliever in the sixth, like just something like that. So maybe everything and everyone is still under consideration, which that's not bad. You still have arms. Just got to find the right deployment of how you use them.
Yeah. Um, my concern with Meyer, and you brought because you detailed McDougal's struggles the last time he was on, how he just couldn't get any swing and miss, no swing and miss stuff in his last outing. Uh, Chase Meyer, no hits his last time out. Did not give up a hit, but had two walks, two wild pitches, and two hit by pitches. Um, that's not normally command stuff that he. I mean, I know, like he's got some stuff, and sometimes that stuff gets wild, but that seems unusual for him. And that was the last time we saw him. So something there. And then you mentioned Hagen came in, and they get no, it wasn't Sunday. When was he? When did he come in?
Saturday.
Saturday. But yeah, West Virginia plays Tuesday and Wednesday this week,
Mhm.
which is not normal. So all hands on deck, everybody ready. Like I don't like the idea of being like, oh, you're going to pitch Tuesday and Saturday and back again on Tuesday. So having to resort to that, some of these things can have cascading effects where it's like, oh, well, because this guy's hurt, we have to bring this guy in, and then you bring that guy in. Now all of a sudden you're shorting your staff for the next day, and then all of a sudden if you shorten your staff for the next day, then that puts you in a bad spot for Tuesday, which then puts you in a bad spot for Wednesday, and yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm just blabbering here, but that's how it can work when you play one of these when you play baseball and you're playing what 50 games in a year. Like it's going to be pretty darn tough
Mhm.
if you start going down the rabbit hole like that, or you just have to end up in a game where you essentially not throw it, but you are like letting a freshman come out of the woodwork to just throw a game because you're like, hey, we got to get these other arms back on our right rest cycle, the correct rest cycle.
Mhm. You need five starting pitchers this week, Chris.
Yeah,
And here's what we're talking about the bullpen, and this is disingenuous of us, but Chris, like Dawson Montes has been terrific, right?
yeah,
Max Yell and Chance Cole have a 0 ERA. Am I reading this right?
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty good. Those are starters.
Not bad.
I mean, they've appeared a couple of times now, so you can't do better than that. And Cole's gotten better pretty much every time you've seen him. Yell, the same, coming back from Tommy John. The first time you're looking at him like, I don't know, does he have it? Does he have it? He's coming back from Tommy John. He's got a lot of tools. Pro scouts loved him. He could have gone pro. Instead, he came back, wanted to finish this and get himself back on track. And again, he hadn't allowed an earned run in his start so far. So I think the starting pitching has been probably overlooked and underreported. And again, it's people like me saying, "Can I see the bullpen?" Just because that's what we focus on at the start of the year. It's like, man, they have a lot of arms, a lot of left-handed arms, and we've seen that. Like Suryago from Hawaii, the couple of times I've seen him pitch, he's been pretty good. We haven't seen him in the clutch yet, right? Um, Thacker looks like a hit, and that's a big guy who was at Tennessee and can throw. And that's been good left-handed. I saw Andrew Middleton warming up. He's the guy that was very good at UMass before he got hurt. I saw him warming up on Tuesday to get in the game. It didn't happen. So there's some guys that maybe just have underprofiled so far that are still there. And they could be elevated. That's part of the reason you play these early season games and you experiment and maneuver. I don't know if that happened on the mound though, Chris. I think they went to get the outs on Saturday, especially when they got in danger. Tried to get out of it, tried to win the game. It just it didn't work out for them there, and that's concerning. But if this continues to happen, that's where it's a big deal. But if you're going to get 5 innings out of Yale, and you tell me, you know what, you have Thacker, Estridge, and Perez lined up for the like 6, 7, 8, 9. They only went through eight because the home team won. But
Yeah.
if you're going to get 5 shutout innings out of Yale and you have Thacker, Estridge, and Perez lined up to finish, you really like your chances there, and it just didn't work out. I don't know that you would change that plan, Chris. I don't know that you know what, I don't want to put my three really good arms at the end of a Sunday game. It didn't work out this time. If that continues to be a bad plan, that's a story. But so far, that's been a good approach to things, I think.
All right. You ready to move on to basketball?
The bubble.
The bubble.
We
What
doing
did you
this?
think? I got a lot of feedback about my post about the 5+ quad one wins thing.
Don't forget they can get another one too.
Yeah.
So take that stat because I think that's a really good perspective stat that people you could look at bracketology and projections and all that and see, okay, and you're not going to see West Virginia. If the season ended today, they are not in the tournament for sure, which is confusing to some if you digest the stat that you found.
Let's see. I'm trying to, whatever it is, I'm not going to count them out right this second, but I just was like, hey, 5+ quad one wins. That's pretty good. And I remember last year, because I like my thing is I value good wins more than bad losses. Like a
Mhm.
quad one win means more to me positively than a quad three loss. That's just my thoughts on it. I want to see good wins. And I remember last year, not only West Virginia, but Ohio State getting screwed because Ohio State had six, just like West
Yep.
Virginia did last year, and neither of them got into the tournament. And I'm trying to, I swear, I was going looking for it. I swear there was a stat that was like, that's the first time, like, since they started doing that, which admittedly is not very long, that teams with 6+ quad one wins didn't make it. And two of them didn't make it. So maybe that's a change in philosophy from the selection committee, or six-figure bonuses are involved. I don't know this year. So then I
Yeah,
started
you
looking
did.
5+ quad one wins. West Virginia got their fifth with that win over BYU. And I think there's about 30 of them teams, 28 teams, something like that. Of the 28, let's say, teams that have 5+ wins, 27 of them, as of the moment that I made that post, were projected to be in the NCAA tournament. And one of them, West Virginia, was not. And not even close, really. I mean, I think like the eighth team out, 10th team out, depending on where you're looking. So like it's not even like they're the first or second team out either. A lot of people, Mike, a lot of, oh yeah, that's a good point. I can't believe it. Even more, there is nothing like a West Virginia fan base that's down on a team that wants to make sure everyone else is down on a team too. Because there are so many mentions of first comment, how many of them had quad three home losses? What about this? We had some crap losses. Look at this. Look at that. There ain't nothing like a WVU fan that wants to make sure everyone else knows that a WVU team's not good.
Right.
When they are dead set on the team not being good, they want everyone to know it's not good. So
Bro. Bro. So what hurts most, do you think? Like why they what is the one, it could be one loss, it could be one dynamic that has them on the outside looking at right now. Like you don't give me record. I understand the record. That's the reason why. But is there because they are close, even with the record. They're not first four out. They're not even last four out, I think, in either projection right now.
yeah.
They were at CBS yesterday. Do you have a, I don't know, a guess?
Is it
Not
because
a
the
guess.
offense is so abysmal? Like,
Do you think it's an eye
I
test? Yeah.
legitimately think that's it. I think if West Virginia had the same exact metrics, 17 and 12 with five quad one wins and one quad three loss, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but they were losing games 94 to 90 instead of 60 to 56. I legitimately believe West Virginia would be a few spots higher in the polls. In the not in the net because I don't think they take that, but as far as like bracketology is concerned.
Hmm. I go, Chris. So let me hold on there, and then I'm looking up one thing here. All right. So on a non-conference schedule, Chris, that has five Power Five, because I'm going to count the Big East and Xavier, five Power Five opponents in the top 110, and it's way down by the darn Panthers. They're 110, but Xavier is like 93. Um, Wake's top 70. The rest are top 70. So you have five top 100, let's say, major conference opponents in your non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Now, granted, they went 1-4, not good. How in the world did they end up with the non-conference rank of schedule at 355 out of 365? Five of the 13 games, Chris, are against top 100 teams.
No idea.
And they're one of the 10 worst conference non-conference schedules in the country. That's a big deal to me, I think. And then probably what hurts too is that they did not boat race some of those teams um, early in the year, like the Campbell game. Man, because they didn't beat Campbell by a bunch, their RPI, excuse me, their net doesn't really skyrocket like it should have. And then I think I'm gonna probably try to answer this question. I know I'm gonna probably answer this question. I would think maybe today, perhaps tomorrow. It depends. But man, some of their non-conference opponents that are good, like look at what Wake Forest has done this year. Holy crap. 0-10 against quad one.
That's
You played a
impressive. That's
team
hard to do.
You played a team that's 500. I think they're under 500 right now. That went 0-10 against Quad One, and West Virginia loses that game, almost a home game, really. Let's be honest. And I was just talking to someone yesterday. He said that there's no way, like physically, they were like, "That's West Virginia should not say this very often." They were the better team physically that game and couldn't get it done. Just looked like they were um, a better basketball squad, looked better in uniforms, looked better warm ups, and then that game was there. A bunch of them are there, but I just think about the non conference, and that's a go to for some of these people. You look at you start looking at separation points when it becomes pretty equal. You're not throwing a dart, but what's a what's a common denominator? Well, everybody plays a non-conference. It could be 18, it could be 20. Because then you get into this whole dynamic about do conference tournaments matter? Should they be for seeding or should they be for in or out? That's a divisive thing all of a sudden. I think conference tournaments should matter more than seed line, maybe who's in and who's out. But then again, I understand if you played 18, 20 games against your conference, what is one or two more going to really achieve? How should that change the metrics? I get that. Okay. So what do? You go back to non-conference, and no one is there a Power Five team that had a worse non-conference than West Virginia? And how bad is it? How bad are the other eight teams where you play five decent ones
Yeah.
and you still end up with one of the worst in the country? That still is arresting to me to look at.
Um, somebody, a lot of the responses were, quad one, quad three losses, quad three losses. Uh, Georgia, Auburn, Gonzaga, Clemson, Texas, UConn. They all have quad three losses.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of question marks about their viability. Well, other than Auburn. Auburn's a joke. I think you brought this up like a month and a half ago. Or was this last? We were like, there's going to be maybe under 500 team from the SEC making the NCAA tournament or in consideration because I think Auburn is 15 and 14, 50, right around 500, and they're currently projected in the NCAA tournament. It's crazy.
Do you know? Are you aware of the constitution of the selection committee this year?
Oh no,
Send your flowers, send your edible arrangements, send your box of chocolates to Chad Weiberg of Oklahoma State. He's responsible for one of those losses that really hurts.
yeah,
But he is the Big 12 rep on there. You're looking at here we go. Commissioner of the Sun Belt, AD at Alabama, AD at Minnesota, AD at Manhattan, Commissioner of the West Coast Conference, AD at Temple, AD at Abilene Christian, AD at Samford, AD at Georgetown, AD at Oklahoma State, AD at Syracuse, Commissioner Big Sky. Um, there's a lot of great basketball program names in there. There's some not good basketball programs from this season in there too. So, and then um, some of those mid-major affiliations, Sun Belt, good basketball, uh, wild conference tournament if you're paying attention there. But you're talking one bid there. You're talking, I don't know, maybe two bids West Coast Conference, um, one bid Big Sky. Are those people going to be stomping for multiple bids in their league? Maybe not going to work. So how much of the Power Five lean does it do? And then what's going to happen here, Chris, is what's crazy to me is that this will be another year where a whole bunch of people are left out, and this is going to really empower the talk to go to I don't know 78, 96 teams in the tournament. Which that may be it for me, Chris.
yeah.
I'm gonna go get my second master's and just do something else. I don't want to. I know it's probably going to happen because this is what we do. We screw up good things, and it's been too long since we've screwed up basketball. I just feel like it's going to go to 90, whatever the number is. I don't even like to read about it. But speaking of future, do you think, if it's possible, there is any way that they resist first four, Tuesday night, Dayton, West Virginia, Indiana.
Oh my God.
It's happening. I can see this happening.
Ugh. Like, I mean, if the selection committee is truly in cahoots with the TV, they have to, right?
Why
Have to.
not? So like the old Bob Huggins always had like John Calipari in the Sweet 16. There's always a West Virginia, like a Huggins foil in his
Yeah.
bracket. Um, this is like you can see the waitress turning around from the bar with the tray of drinks. You can't quite see, and here comes the person coming around the corner, and you're like, this is going to be awesome. They're going to crash, and there's going to be a mess everywhere. I can see this coming. This is going to
God.
happen. I know it.
We might
You're
have
in
to.
West Virginia. Guess what? Congratulations. You're going to Dayton.
Yeah,
You're playing
we're gonna have
DeVries.
to put the message board on lockdown that day if that happens. Just complete lockdown. No one's allowed to post.
No, they're going to send me to Dayton with a stethoscope and just to check on Tucker and his shoulder and all that stuff. I'm going to have to explain to people my theory again about how, like, let's be careful with this
Which
Bible
shoulder
thing.
again?
The one that got injured when he was recovering the other shoulder.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Okay. Sure.
He wore a sling.
Um, you
So what do you
did.
think has to happen here? I wrote after they lost at Oklahoma State, which people forget that actually happened less than a week ago. I thought they had to have a combination of three wins to give themselves a chance, and that combination of three wins could be. I had to have. You can't lose to Kansas State now. Cannot. That wasn't different before. You could beat BYU, Kansas State, Big 12 tournament opponent. You could get all three and lose in the Big 12. I don't feel so great about that now, but I thought after the Oklahoma State game, just look at the projections, the way things are going. If they found a way to get three in the final three games plus one in the Big 12 tournament, they would be probably in as reasonable position as they can, unless they took care of it and just won without question.
Yeah.
But I thought three would do it, and I still kind of feel like that's the way to go here. Like if they sweep the rest of the regular season, even better, they probably should win the Big 12. Now, I still wonder if three is the number here, too. Do they have to go 2-0 and then win a Big 12 game?
I mean, I still think it's four with BYU being one. So
Yeah.
I was thinking they had to sweep and win a game in the thing. Because as you're noting, like a lot of the bracketology things, I'm looking at CBS's right now. They're even with the BYU win, not even part of the what first four out.
And they
And
were on Sunday, or they were next four out on Sunday,
next four out. Do we have a
which they
next
don't
four out
actually
on
show.
CBS?
They don't
Let me go.
show it, but they don't show it, but they were on their listing. It's not in our publication. I don't know why, but like it was mentioned on broadcast that they
Oh,
had
was it?
made the
Okay.
next list. Yeah.
Uh, maybe I'll go outside of the Paramount sphere if there's anything left outside of it and find out if they're listed somewhere else. I don't know.
ESPN doesn't have them
I
either.
still think four. Like I mean,
Yeah.
again, and now I think the number's three is what I guess a better way of saying it. Got to win
Do
the
you
last two and one.
do you think quantity matters here of wins? Because if they win out, you're talking 19 regular season wins. You're talking, I believe it's 10 Big 12 wins, right? Um, win one more. Now you're at 20 regular season wins, 10 Big 12, excuse me, 20 wins, 10 regular season Big 12 wins, plus one in the tournament. Historically, major conference to get 20 plus wins with half or more in the conference is really hard to resist. It's not zero anymore. In fact, there's been more in the last couple of years than before because some leagues play 20 games now. So the Big Ten has really screwed this math up. But it used to be very rare that a team would get to 20 wins, 10 or more in the conference, and not make the NCAA tournament, a power conference team. Um, I don't think it's a golden ticket anymore, but I still think on the basis of who they've beaten now, because you're talking if they do this, Chris, two wins against a redeeming UCF team, one against BYU, which is still pretty highly regarded, has talent for sure. And then one against Kansas, which is right up there at the top of the conference. Four of your 10 conference wins are hard to ignore.
Yeah.
Seems like that might be pretty influential. It's not alone. There's going to be other power programs that have the same profile or similar profile, but it doesn't mean the WV's out of it, though.
You mentioned the other day about the seed after the game. Tied 8-8 with the other two teams, but they're 3-0 against them. So they are currently 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, the eighth seed. If
They
they
beat them.
win their final two games, which includes a win over UCF, which is one spot ahead of them, I don't know how the tiebreakers would work because it might end up with a three. But if West Virginia ends up as a sixth seed,
Yeah.
How are you like again? So that would be winning the last two. And who does TCU face? TCU's got Texas Tech, so they may lose one here.
And Cincinnati, who's not going away.
Yeah. So again, it depends on the tiebreakers and how that would work. Because what that would end up with like a three-way tie with UCF and TCU. I don't know if they win. Do they win that tiebreaker? Not sure,
Uh,
but
two two team ties are head to head. Three team ties are collective play. Uh, I don't I don't
they
have it in
lo
front of me beyond that.
they lost at TCU and they'd be 1-1. They beat UCF twice.
If they sweep, yeah.
So I don't know what UCF and what has UCF and TCU done. Pulling it up now. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, okay.
UCF beat TCU. So TCU would be 1-1 and West Virginia would be 2-1.
Yeah.
So West Virginia would win a three-team tiebreaker with TCU and UCF. And they would be
And
the
that,
sixth seed.
that Kansas win could come in handy too,
Yeah.
because like the highest ranked team, like who's beating Arizona?
Right.
Like not none of these teams we're talking about. So like if Kansas right now is probably going to finish tied for third, I think it looks like maybe they get up in the tie for second with some things happening, but that's could be a valuable chip because once certain tiebreakers, if they don't solve themselves, you go to record against top ranked teams. It's going to be hard to find someone who moves the needle by beating Arizona. Those teams aren't going to be in this conversation, but if WVU has a win against tied for second or third place Kansas, that's going to help. And again, like so here, if you get out of that 8 seed, you don't have to worry about playing Arizona if you do win the game against the 16-9 winner. Number 2 plays likely Houston, bad draw for West Virginia. 6, now it gets interesting, Chris, because you could play Texas Tech without Toppin. Iowa State team that just not doing too great right now, but they always kind of pull this nonsense. And then Kansas that they've beaten before. Yeah, can they beat Kansas in Kansas City? I'd like to see that, but it gets a lot easier once you get out of those top 2 spots, provided that Houston does see this through because they've been better than they have been lately. But you'd really like to avoid that 8 line because that means you're drawing Arizona in the second round. And if you get there, that's not a great position, especially if you're in the position you need to win games. Much easier for WV to like its chances against a Kansas, Texas Tech, feels weird to say Kansas, but Kansas, Texas Tech, and Iowa State than those top 2 teams.
Yeah. Well, first things first, they got to not screw around and have like a Colorado repeat from last year in that first round game because they would, as the sixth seed in this example, they would get the bye and they would pay the winner of the 11 and 14 seed. As it stands now, that's Colorado and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's already beat them. So,
So Kansas State's just
yeah,
a huge block in the schedule right now. Speaking of Owen, they're 0-11 against Quad One, Chris. You cannot
that's
have multiple
impressive.
losses to teams like that, right? And again,
No.
Utah is 1-12 against Quad One. Guess what the Quad One win is?
Yeah. West
Not
Virginia.
great. Yeah, so these teams just haven't been good. Like Kansas State hasn't been good. Wake Forest hasn't been good. Utah hasn't been good against these best teams, and they're kind of hanging out right now, making a mess of the schedule potentially.
All right. We're going to finish on this. I got sent this question. I don't know if they meant their name to be attached to it, so I'll leave it off for now. But they're putting us through a thought exercise. I've already told Mike beforehand what it was, and it says if you go up and down this roster, this year's roster, and the interim, he did emphasize it, big bold letters, all caps roster. You're taking more names from the Eilert team, right? Goes on and says, trying to get the majority of the minutes, an 8-man rotation. Da, da, da. So what you and I are going to do, we're going to go two different ones. The first is last year's team, and then we'll do the Eilert interim year team. We have for this exercise, we are going to make a draft. We're going to kind of work together on this draft. We can talk each other out of it. Like I'll let you pick first, I'll pick second. But if like we get to the fourth or fifth pick, and I'm like, whoa, no, we're not. I wouldn't take him over that. We can talk it out. But we're going to draft an 8-man rotation. And in the first draft, our pool includes this year's team and last year's DeVries team.
Mhm.
And we're going to make
This,
an 8-man, the best 8-man rotation we can make. And we want to make it like a team. We can't just be like 8 guards or
yeah.
8 shooters. We got to have defense. We got to have rebounding. We're going to try to make an 8-man team.
Can I ask you
Uh,
2 questions?
Yeah.
Are we going healthy DeVries or like a video game with updated roster and he wasn't available last year?
I was going to say healthy DeVries.
Okay. Jaden
Um,
Stone?
nah, because I mean, he didn't even play, right?
No, he
Like,
got hurt in practice and never played again. Yeah.
yeah. So I think we can keep DeVries, but not Stone, because yeah, I think what
Yep.
Stone and Stone's been playing really well this year, so he probably would have just taken another spot from this year's team in the rotation.
14-5, shooting 40% from three from Missouri.
Mm. Um,
No one says he faked it.
no,
He did not fake it.
he did not. I was gonna say I think we're aware of what happened, and whew. Um, all right, so let's go last year's team. I'll start it off because I feel like the answer is pretty obvious. Javon Small, yes,
Yeah.
pick number one, no doubt about it. Let me pull up a little spreadsheet here so I can make sure we got an eight-man rotation and kind of sort of fill in spots. Like again, it doesn't have to be point guard, shooting guard, small forward, but at least like a big, a couple wings, and a guard. Um, who's your second pick? Who's our next on the team? Is it DeVries already?
Gotta be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Tucker DeVries in on one of the wing slash forward spots. Number three. This is where it starts to get interesting. Hmm. Because
Hmm.
I mean, I guess I gotta go. Is it? I'll go offense first. Honor Huff.
All right.
I go with it.
Give me Amani Hansberry.
Okay. So we have a big. We do not.
Yep.
We're not forced to draft any more big. I mean, at least one more big man, I guess. A
By the way,
big man.
speaking of guys who've gone elsewhere and done well, have you seen his numbers, Hansberry?
No.
Well,
What?
15 and 8, I think. What's his rebound
Yeah.
numbers? 15, 7.5, 14.5, 7.5, shooting 35% from three, 50% from the floor, 2.5 assists per game, 1.5 steals per game. Like he's been like an all conference player in a third conference in 3 years.
Yeah. Um. And I was feeling this way beforehand, but might go ahead and get our other big. Right. Our other big. Brennan Lorient. Like I mean, and it's not just because of what he just did, but a bit like his athleticism is high level
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
and I like that. I like that he can guard a lot of different spots in his athleticism. So if we were drafted, I think I'd have him as my next pick.
So I need a guard now, huh?
If you want, I mean, we have, as I say, we can count Lorian as a big man. So I think we need at least one more wing, and then whatever. We need another starter because I don't know if I'm starting Lorient. I got Small, Huff, DeVries, Hansberry. I mean, I guess you could put Lorian out there as another starter, but I know where I'd go with another starter.
All right. So you're starting Huff, Small, DeVries,
Hans
Lorient,
or
and Hansberry.
Hansberry or Lorian. Yeah.
Okay. Would you put a big in? Like, are you profiling those two as fours or one or five?
I like Hansberry and Lorian as my two bigs and just be
Okay.
good with it.
Okay. So now we're just kind of coming off the bench here.
Yeah. Let's say there could be certain lineups where I think we could put another wing slash guard out there. And I guess this is the conversation about Sincere Harris. Because
I'm
like
thinking
Huff and
John Powell
Small,
too.
huh?
Thinking John Powell too is for
Yeah.
shooting, perhaps. I mean
We can
the
take
the
both
thing,
of them. We got three spots to fill.
yeah. So the thing is, like, what are you going to do with Toby Okani? Um, Decent player. What are you going to do with Eduardo Andre or Harlan Obioha? Because they might be repetitive. I don't think you're taking both of them. You haven't mentioned Joseph Yesufu. You haven't, who's kind of, I mean, is he Jasper Floyd? No, I think Floyd might be my pick here because he gives you some defense, he gives you some offense uh, to orchestrate, not to run offense to him. But this is where it gets tricky now because you're like, all right, how do I situate a next wave of players here?
Hmm.
Phew, boy, I probably would take Harris just because defense, guard, a little bit of flexibility as a guard. but man, his was limited and just isn't a whole lot better right now, too. It's a
Yeah.
tough one. Do you find an answer from this team, Chris? I don't know that, again, I don't know that I've seen so much from this team to be like, I got to have this guy on this team. I like some parts from last year's team more. I would probably at this point go Harris or Floyd. I'm not sure. Probably depends on what I think about my point guard, but probably going to play Javon Small a lot, so I might pick
Yeah.
Harris.
That's where I was leaning was I was like, I don't know if I want to use a roster spot on Floyd yet. Um, I was going to go Harris for the reasons you were mentioning. Like, yeah, obviously a deficient on offense, but if you have Small and Huff and DeVries and Hansberry and even Lorian at times, like I think we can sacrifice some of it to get that guard defense. Because again, Smalls was solid on defense. Huff is too small to really. I mean, he's pesky, but to have Harris's length and I mean, he's such a tear. Like one of the best
Totally.
defenders I think I've seen come through. I would absolutely take him at some point. I don't know if we put him in starting rotation as a third guard or you bring him off the bench or whatever, but he's certainly in my top 6 or 7 here. So
So that's six now, right?
we're at 6. We have Small, Huff, Harris, DeVries, Hansberry, Lorient. So we can go wherever you want here for the last couple. Um,
Well, I'm down to probably I'm down to what do I do between the bigs, Andre and Huff? Excuse me, Obioha. I don't know. And then Chance Moore, Jonathan Powell, Floyd, and I guess probably got to think about DJ Thomas. I'm not sure I'd put DJ Thomas above anybody right now. I,
Yeah.
I think he's
Uh,
fine, but I'm not sure
Give
he
me
plays.
DJ Thomas in 2027, and
Yeah.
that might be my answer, but not right now.
I probably would go with Moore here just for flexibility, a little bit, some athleticism, but I would think about what am I going to do with Powell too, because that's a guy who could shoot and help a lot.
I think that's how I'd finish it. Moore and Powell.
Okay. Pick one then. Obioha or Andre. They're not the same, but they're really not as far as how they're used, they're not dramatically different, right?
Is it bad if I say neither?
No, you have to
Like,
pick one. Oh,
ah,
crap, Chris. We totally forgot Eagle staff.
did we?
I didn't mention him. Is he on this roster? Should we scrap this whole segment?
No. I mean, it's tough because again, like I feel confident about 6. Small, Huff, Harris, DeVries, Hansberry, Lorient. Like there's no scenario, no rotation I'm putting together where those 6 are not in it for me
I agree.
personally.
Okay.
And then, yeah, like you mentioned Floyd. Like the argument for Floyd is who's the next point guard when Small's out? Like, are you going with Huff?
You
Like we've
kind of have
seen some of his passes. I mean, I believe I mentioned it was 2 games ago where the TV cameras perfectly caught Ross Hodge when Huff tried another pocket pass that went off somebody's leg and got stolen. And it was just come the F on, just full losing it. And I was like, yeah, that I don't know if I want that at point guard all the time. Can DeVries run point forward type stuff? Can Harris distribute enough? I'm not sure. So maybe that's the argument for Floyd.
you
Like
don't
you
want to
mentioned,
have to ask those questions during a season then.
yeah,
Okay. So he's in your
because
eight then. So then yeah, like I don't think Eagle staff cracks this, but like we're talking about the end of the conversation here. Like I wonder like there's not a spot for Eagle staff on this
yeah,
on the in the conversation for 8-9. Like and you might be right.
yeah. I
Like I
mean,
was overlooking him even at the point here, I'm thinking, all right, I think I'd like more
mhm.
because just the way I understand why he doesn't get a ton of minutes because you see some of the stuff that he does and doesn't do. But boy, he could really fit nicely in some parts there too. And so like I would probably keep him out. Like I wouldn't put Eagle staff in my starting group among this combined roster, but does he have a spot beyond that? And just maybe because of the situations, it's how you build a roster. Maybe he doesn't because you got to have a guard who can really guard. You got to have somebody who can play maybe point. You got to have somebody who can shoot some threes, like Powell over Eagle staff. Think about that.
Yeah.
If you're just looking for shooting, it might be Powell. But is he
Well,
that much better, that much different?
and
I might
that's what
like.
I was looking at. I was like, if we have to, quote unquote, have to. I mean, this is our made up exercise here. We can do whatever we want. But if Floyd's on here, does Powell get in over more? Because let's assume that we didn't pick more and we got Floyd in as our 7th. We got Small and Huff as shooters. Harris, no. DeVries, okay. Hansberry, okay. Maybe we have enough shooting. Maybe we don't need to. I was trying to think if we needed a shooting specialist like Powell because we were lacking elsewhere, but maybe you're
So in
okay
that
with more.
conversation, in that analysis, you might take more over Powell.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Which then you might need Eagle staff.
yeah.
But you're talking fringe here. Like how
Yeah.
are you gonna put a
I was
cap
just say, I
on
think
it?
maybe the more, like when we go to the 8-man rotation, maybe we end up with four from each team,
Yeah.
sort of thing. But I think maybe the more alarming part is for your starting five, four of the five are from last year's team, and pretty
Mhm.
much without question.
Yeah, you
Depend
wouldn't say
again,
all five, but
not all five, but I mean, Small, DeVries, Hansberry, and Harris. Like I guess for his like again, if you're going to go 3 guard lineup with Huff as your shooting guard,
Big 12's better this year too, wouldn't you say?
yeah,
So for a first year coach to have one starter quality player among a pool of, 30, um, in a harder league to be in this situation, that's pretty interesting.
as I
Different
say, and I think
situation.
that's where again for the question, the user who sent me this question, it ends with, "This is why I've kind of pivoted lately to this has honestly been a good overall coaching job." And we kind of alluded to that too when we were like, "Hey, there are roster deficiencies up and down. Even the guys that are good have major flaws." And so, all right, so we decided four of the five starters from last year's team. We get to an 8-man rotation. It might be split 4-4,
Mhm.
something
Yeah,
like that.
sure. It might. Yeah, I
Or,
think that's fair.
or
Sure.
5-3 in favor of last year. It's
Yeah.
either 5-3 in favor of last year or 4-4.
And you could argue stronger for 4-4 than 5-3, I think.
Correct.
It
I
gets different when you
agreed.
go to the interim. It gets a little bit different because that
Well,
team had some talent.
that's where we're going right now. So
Yeah.
let's go there. We have pulled up the interim year, and we are picking a squad from there. First pick.
I don't think it's close. I think it's Jesse Edwards.
Yes. Okay, good. I was
You
like, oh
agree?
wait,
Okay.
not close. Who are you
Okay.
picking? Yeah, Jesse Edwards would have been my number one pick too. Um, eh, is it Raekwon Battle?
It has to be.
Right. Yeah. Like I third. All right, here. Let's go with start. Let's try to go with a quote unquote starting lineup. We still need a point guard. We still need two wings, or we need some combination of point guard and some combination of wings and guards. Because we got Edwards as a big and Battle. I think you could slide as a 2 or a 3. So give me a point guard, a wing, and a bigger wing, or a point guard, a guard, and a bigger wing.
So here, are you saying Huff here with Battle is like a three?
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, I don't know that I would go Kirk Creasy yet, but
You
that
need
would
a
be my
point
point
guard.
guard. That would be
Yeah.
my point guard in this team. But I think if you're worried about somebody coming off the board, you might take Huff here. But it's probably to me, it's probably Huff or Creasy.
Yeah, well, let's just put together a five without worrying about the draft part. We got Kreesa, point guard, Huff, shooting guard, Battle, wing. Now we need a little bit bigger wing.
You're probably Lorient.
Yeah, that's where I was leaning.
I mean, would
Sorry,
you?
I'm not
Would
going
you?
Slazinski.
I was gonna say that's the one you would think about. Would you take him? I don't know about that. Like there's
Nah, Lorient for me is too athletic and
yeah, okay.
a little more versatile. So, and now the next three.
So by the way, we're 3-2 there instead of 4-1, and I think
Hmm.
that that roster 2 years ago was better. It just
Yeah.
is very talented. It was a confluence of circumstances, but there are a lot of players on that team.
All right. So then we need one big, one guard, and one miscellaneous to round things out, or at least one forward, because I think
Okay.
like a four power
So
forward.
so then here are your decisions. Then you're talking well, Eagle staff, Slozinski, one or the other. Different players, but like kind of similar players. I think Slozinski's a little bit more rugged, and Eagle staff's a little bit more skilled. Then you have, I mean, your backup guards here. Are you doing Farrakhan, Floyd?
I would
And
say
then
I'm trying to decide who's actually in consideration here. Eagle staff, Slazinski, Moore, Floyd.
I mean, I'm not putting Kobe Johnson, Seth Wilson. What about Pat Sumnick? Like Pat
Uh,
Summitt could be good on this team this year, I think.
yeah.
I'm not sure I'm picking him in this conversation though. This is probably gonna be pretty close too, Chris. I mean, I'm still getting more, I think.
I was gonna say, do we end up with five from this year's roster now? Eagle staff, Moore, and Floyd. So you have a backup point guard.
You're out on Slazinski then, right?
I mean, you put it correctly, I believe. It's either Eagle staff or Slazinski.
Yeah, they're repetitive. Same as like
Um,
a Obi Oha, Andre, and neither one of them made the team.
yeah,
But so it might depend on what you put around him. Like Slazinski's bigger. He's probably 6'8", right? Just a
yeah,
bigger, like more of a post guy. He could do some shooting. Eagle Staff's a little bit more skilled. Probably a better player with the ball, I think.
right.
Um,
So
I would
maybe it is Slazinski.
I'd probably take Slazinski to be honest, but like I don't. It doesn't offend me if you made me take Eagle Staff here.
Yeah, I think if you get outside of those four, I think you're stretching it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm with you. Like Slazinski or Eagle staff is fine, but Slazinski, considering more or Slazinski and Eagle staff, but if we got Moore and Floyd, then I think Slazinski might fit something that the
Yeah,
team doesn't currently have more than Eagle staff. So, and you're still, what is it? So what does that work out to? One, two, three, four, 4-4 again.
1-4 again. But this time not a blowout in the starters though.
Yeah. Although
Yeah,
Edwards and Battle, I think, are so far ahead of whoever might be the first pick. It's like one of those drafts where it's like, hey, it's a draft. It's got a top two, and then there's a big drop off.
yeah.
And so,
Boy, it's a good way to look at it. Kind of makes you understand a little bit where what you're working with and also just how goofy that 23-24 season was.
yeah, that's the other part of it is like we are leaning towards 2023, 24 being better, and that team went 9-23.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's
Well,
obviously extenuating circumstances, all that stuff, but it's like, wait, that team that we think is slightly better talent wise, with a couple big time talent improvements, went had the worst year ever
it was
in
pretty
school
bad.
history.
But
Yeah,
also had just so much nonsense.
yeah.
Like our number one pick missed a bunch of games and then couldn't shoot free throws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The number two pick was fighting the NCAA. Our point guard, I don't think, am I still allowed to say what he did to get in trouble? Why he got suspended for a couple of games?
I don't see why not.
I mean, yeah, the
That was
whole
what
like
three schools ago.
impermissible benefits from what happened in Arizona and what he did with some player perks, like that people forget about. Like that whole start of that season was so weird. Like, remember, I think if I have this right, is when the court case was cleared and Farrakhan and Kreisa both played, and that's when Edwards broke his hand. Is that right? Was it
Yeah, I
UMass?
think it was the first game.
Ugh. It just
Was it?
that team never had a chance.
Yeah. Well,
Crazy. Now,
well,
what about the players who could have been on that team? Trey Mitchell, Joe Toussaint.
I
They
don't
should have
think.
been on that team. Remember?
Oh God, I'll say I don't think we need to go back to 2022, 23 because that might be like all.
Well, Mitchell and
I would take
Mit-
Keedy Johnson. I would take Trey Mitchell. I would take Eric Stevenson. I might take Joe Toussaint as my point guard. Emmett
but
Matthews wasn't bad, like,
yeah,
but maybe you slide Huff in instead of Matthews. Like
yeah.
that
But
2022-23 team might be 4-1 in favor that way.
so the what if is that if June in Pittsburgh of 2023 doesn't happen, Mitchell and Toussaint might be on the team. I'm not sure about Toussaint. Mitchell, I think a lot of people thought Mitchell was leaving anyways, but like if you can keep that together, Mitchell, Toussaint, I think Kreisa, I don't know what Kreisa had to do with Toussaint leaving. Um, I don't know. I don't want to go in that rabbit hole, but that could have been a very good team too. That's a whole what if of a chapter by itself. Heck, it might be a book by itself too.
Oh, we ain't got time for that.
No.
We ain't got time for a book, even not
Went
even a
long today,
chapter.
Chris.
Huh?
Went long today on this hypothetical, which is always good. People can
Yes, we
skip
did.
this and not listen to the end. That's fine. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we'll be back. Plenty going on this week here. Baseball Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday,
Mhm.
Saturday, Sunday. Weather, don't know. It's schizophrenic here in Morgantown. Beautiful yesterday, snowing this morning. I'm not sure what's going on.
I think it'd be back up to 70 this weekend too.
Supposed to be, but I
Yeah.
might get some. I haven't checked it because it's for me. It's fruitless to look at the weather forecast in Morgantown this time of year. Like I said, one day great, one day what the heck's that? So perhaps we'll cross our fingers and figure out who's playing and when, maybe who's pitching and when. Football Tuesday, basketball Tuesday, and then a Friday night basketball game. Don't forget that is not on Saturday. That's on Friday
Mm.
to get a little bit of extra rest for the tournament. And yeah, top six, top eight. What's at stake? Don't forget too, Ross Hodge, NCAA tournament top eight finish, contract extension. And if you finish in the top eight, you're eligible if you want to play in the Players Era tournament, which is that premier non-conference
Ooh.
NIL event. And what hurt West Virginia this year? What we talk about non-conference type of
Hmm.
schedule. So if you fumble this, you lose a contract extension, you lose a pretty good chip for, I mean, recruiting, retaining players. You can tell players in the portal, hey, come here, we're playing this NIL tournament. You got a chance to make some money. And by the way, your resume should be in a better position if you take care of things for non-conference play too. So subplots for sure. As we wrap up, anything on your side?
No, sounds like a pretty busy week. Hey, we're coming up on spring break, but thanks to kids sports, I get like a 2 day spring break. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
You've earned it, Chris.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Until then, I'm Mike Casaza.
And I'm Chris Anderson.
We'll talk to you then.